My name's Neil. I'm a photographer from Coventry in the Midlands. I've been doing photography for near enough 10 years now. I first got into it when I was gifted a small compact camera one Christmas, and then literally got the bug for it when I was out in the garden in the following spring with flowers and ladybirds, and it kind of snowballed from there. So I ended up getting my first SLR camera the following year. Went around Brandon Marsh with my uncle, who's a well-talented photographer. He took me around Brandon and sort of taught me all the ropes about things, and it's kind of, that's it really. I've never looked back. So I've been doing it for probably full time for the last 3 years. I've came away from a career in IT. You know, when you occasionally you just sort of have enough of something, and I thought it was about time that I did what I truly love in life, and been fortunate enough to get into photography. As most people would know, you know, no matter what you're doing, whether it's photography or any kind of job or industry that you're working in, you're always striving to improve. And I think the day when you think you've achieved everything is when you've gone wrong. So I'm always looking to sort of get out and maybe learn some new techniques, or take a familiar scene from a different angle or with a slightly different perspective, or different techniques, maybe using it at night or lots of light involved, because it's always good to just see how your work progresses. I mean, sort of looking back over the last 10 years, and it's funny because you think the images I took 10 years ago, I would actually delete off my computer now. I would never publish them. So you're always got to look to improve. And I think that's what motivates me, is that you can never sit back and think you've done everything or achieved everything. There's always something you could pick up, or a different look on something, and just constantly changing how you approach things and what you publish. So one of the reasons for being here today is I've put together a calendar for 2024, and it was nice to pick out 12 images, although obviously quite difficult. I've got thousands upon thousands of pictures, so there was a challenge in itself. But just picking out 12 images that I thought represented the months, and also that people would enjoy looking at. It's not just a calendar, it's almost a piece of art. It was quite difficult to choose a favourite image from the calendar. It's tough enough whittling them down from 1,000 to 12, but I reckon this one probably stands out. It looks somewhere very exotic, but I was actually just up visiting family in Blackpool with my daughters, and we were having a little drive out to Fleetwood, which is at the top end of the coast there. And for once, I wasn't paying any attention to all the scenery beside me because I was driving. And my daughter sort of kicked herself for this. She mentioned, "Oh, that looks nice," as she was glancing off to the side. And I took a quick glance, and then they sighed again as I've pulled the car over. So just bear with me a second while I got the camera out and disappeared off down the steps to go and take a photo of the scene. It just shows that sometimes, even when you have got a photographer's eye, when you're sort of getting on with things from day to day, you will sometimes pass things by. So it was lucky that my daughter spotted it, and I went and captured a couple of pictures, and I just love the sheer tranquility of it. It's just a small boating lake. There was, as you can see from the picture here, there wasn't anyone else around, and there was no breeze, and it was just really still and idyllic. So it's kind of one of my favourite photos, not just in the calendar, but out of all of my collection. So when choosing the calendar that I was putting together, to make the most impact for the images, I've opted for the largest format, which is A2, and the highest quality photographic paper, because it really, as you can see, it just pops almost out at you. And then even the small details, like the month on the calendar being embossed with this sort of stunning highlight, is actually raised as well, so it's really impressive in gold. So putting together a calendar was something I'd been looking to do for a while, and it was more that it was an opportunity to showcase 12 images. So obviously if people coming around to visit the house, they'll see a different image every month, and they might even be interested in looking at getting a piece of art for their own home off the back of it, or maybe order their own calendar. But having it printed, I love things on screen, and obviously it's the best way to share things in the modern world, but you can't beat having something tangible in front of you. It's so much more striking and impressive. So as we're coming up towards Christmas, there's a couple of things that I've got going on. And the first one is probably this artisan market, which I did last year, and we'll be looking at getting a couple more of my images printed out with CEWE. Then this will be on my stall, and hopefully as lots of the chamber members have come up and looking for Christmas gift ideas for friends or family or customers or suppliers. For all you other photographers out there, when you're thinking about putting together a similar project to showcase 12 of your images, the best thing to do, or the first thing to do, is actually, even if you kind of split the images into groups of January, February, March, and what I did is sort of put them out on your socials and ask your followers to vote. So it might be that you pick 3 or 4 pictures for each month, and we all know how difficult it is to pick your own favourite, and we're all a bit biased, but ultimately it's about what appeals to everybody else out there, not what your favourites is. So that's probably my first piece of advice, is just ask your audience what their favourite image is out of your collection, and then at least you've whittled it down enough that when you go onto cewe.co.uk and load them up, you've only got a couple left to pick, or maybe even one that you've actually finalised, and then you can just upload them onto the platform, drop them into the appropriate month and set up your highlights and size, and then just wait for it to be delivered.